All right, man. So today I got a point guard tier list for y'all. But before we get too much further into this video, I want y'all to go ahead and drop a like. And I do also want to let y'all know that we have a channel membership. It's only 99 cents. Very cheap, very affordable. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. Today I got a point guard tier list for y'all, and anyone that's seen any of my other tier lists, they already understand how I do these. So I do these based off of factors that don't involve what people are actually using. I don't just look at what everyone is using and say, hey, look, everyone's using this, so it must be good, or no one is using this, so it must not be good. I don't go by those standards. I usually go by what they're capable of getting done, and then I rank them based off of that. So let's go ahead and get to it. We're starting off with the A tier, and the first character that we're putting in the A tier is May. The reasons for her being inside the A tier is very simple. It's just because she can't compare to Albert, and she has a really bad speed stat. Even with the introduction of the Ace tier and the SSS tiers, she still only maxes out at 109. And that's when you don't factor in the gear, the assist characters, talents, or affix. So next, we're moving on to Takumi. He has a very high skill ceiling. You can't just pick up Takumi and be good with him in the way that he's meant to be used, because you have to be really good at dribbling the ball. You have to be really good at getting ankle breakers. And if you're not very good at finding a balance between dribbling the ball and passing the ball, you will not be good with Takumi, and very few point guards have the IQ to both dribble and pass the ball as well. It's also the fact that he can't play well without ISO, and when the teammates are too far away during his ISO, he has no access to a pinpoint pass, so he's going to be overthrowing the ball a whole lot. He used to have a dribbling pass, but they took it away for Inspire. He also has a bad height. He's very short in comparison to taller point guards like Nana, Boa, and May and Jackie, and he also has a bad speed stat in comparison to the faster point guards. So moving on to Hoy, he's in the A tier for a very simple reason as well. He simply just can't compare to David, and he has a really bad height for a shooting guard. So moving on to the S tier, we got Jackie in the first slot. He has a very consistent fadeaway three, one of the most consistent fadeaway threes in the entire game. The only person who might have a fadeaway three that's as consistent is Fire King because of his full charge and his enhanced three-point. He's also good at forcing help on the screens because of his fadeaway three consistency. So you have to have two people out there on the perimeter if he has a screen. He's a very strong support for ISO scores, because when the defense is helping on the screen, his ISO score can have any area of the court all to themselves. He has a very strong defensive presence as well, with the highest point guard block stat. He has a really high speed stat as well, and his disturbance mastery will add 8% extra disturbance to shots that he contests on defense. The only reason he's in the S tier and not the SS tier is because he has no access to a pinpoint pass, so he has to play closer to his teammates, and with that comes the possibility of help defense coming over there to help on time. So moving on to Justin inside the second slot, his proactive intercept is literally the only reason he's in the S tier and not the A tier. He's also a consistent shooter. He's not as consistent as, say, like a Boa. I think Boa would probably be more consistent inside the mid-range area, because her ability that gives her disturbance resistance does not come with as much accuracy reduction. He has a high steal stat, but he has no access to a pinpoint pass, which prevents him from being inside the SS tier. So moving on to Lily, she has off-ball sprint, which helps with her mobility, and her drift 3 forces help on screens. Those two abilities paired together work really well for forcing help on the perimeter. She's a very strong support for ISO scores, because just like with Jackie, if there's a screen in front of her, then you have to have two people over there, or you're going to get 3 free and easy points. Her skillful screen also boosts her mobility while giving her some utility inside of her kit to help her team on offense. She has one of the highest speed stats in the game as well, but she's in the S tier and not the SS tier for the same reason as most of the other point guards in the S tier. It's because she doesn't have access to a pinpoint pass. So moving on to Ayumi, she's also inside the S tier. She has a really high steal rate, and her stealing dive gives her 20% extra steal rate as well. She also guarantees FLRs on the steal. So if you get a steal, you're guaranteed to get the FLR. You don't have to worry about someone else diving on top of that when you get the steal. And after you get a steal, you're going to get 10% extra accuracy for 18 seconds. And the sidestep shot forces help on the screens. If she has a screen in front of her, you must come out there and help on the screen, because if you don't, the sidestep shot is going to eat you up the whole game. She also has access to a flash shot to catch defenders off guard inside the mid-range area. She actually has a pretty good mid-range shot stat as well. She has a really high speed stat ever since the buff, but the reason why she's in S tier and not SS is because she has no access to a bounce pass or a pinpoint pass. So moving on to White, he can control the pace of the game very well, perhaps one of the fastest paced point guards in the entire game. And if you know how to utilize that to your advantage, to catch defenders off guard with your flash passes by using them only when you absolutely have to, then he's a really good point guard for specifically that. His flash pass also gives his teammates 17% extra accuracy. He has access to a pinpoint pass, and the intercepting pass can force turnovers on intercepts, and you don't have to worry about much when it comes down to that, because that also gives your teammates 17% extra accuracy, and it also has a pinpoint effect, so you don't have to worry about anyone stealing that during the animation. And he has a high steal stat, but the only thing preventing him from being inside the SS tier is his bad scoring stats. He has some of the worst scoring stats in the entire game for the point guards. So moving on to Jessica, she has sprint dribbling and drift 3 combo, which forces help on the screens. She's also capable of destroying the defensive structure with just her speed alone. You put a bunch of speed on Jessica, you put a bunch of 3-point on Jessica, you get yourself a good screen, you will definitely destroy the defensive structure on every single possession if you utilize her properly. You may not be the one scoring all the points, but that is not her purpose. Her primary purpose is to dismantle the defense, to get your teammates scoring opportunities. So she's a very strong support for ISO scores. She could easily get her ISO score all by themselves, but she doesn't have access to a bounce pass. She doesn't have access to a pinpoint pass. So unfortunately, that sticks her inside the S tier. So moving on to Susan, her lag start is a very strong tool for creating scoring opportunities for her teammates, and her smart save can prevent steals and knockdowns. So you're behind that screen, you're getting guarded by a boa. She doesn't have to worry about having help on the screen because she can literally go through them once you start your shooting animation. And if she just so happens to proc the steal, you have a smart save to help you out. If you decide to go for a dribble to try to find an open shot, you run into your defender. You don't have to worry about getting knocked down, but you should definitely shoot it or pass it immediately, because while you're dribble restricted, the rate of you being stolen from increases. She's also a strong mid-range and 3-point shooter. Most people only use her at the 3-point line, not even knowing that she can consistently sink those contested mid-range shots after a behind-the-back dribble, because it gives her 13% extra accuracy. But she has no bounce pass, she has no pinpoint pass, so she's stuck inside the S tier for now. And the last person inside the S tier is David. His flash dribble and step back shot forces help on the screens. You got a person that is an inside scorer. Think Havoc G, think Silver Wolf, think Albert. You can think a lot of characters when it comes down to David that can score on the inside, even power forwards like Edward or Zachary. If they have the IQ to pass back out when you have an opportunity to score behind a screen off the flash dribble, and you're it's a 2-on-1 situation on the perimeter, he's going to be very consistent out there. So they have no choice but to help on the screens, which will give your inside scorer the paint all to themselves. And if they're like a 50-50 or a 1 out of 3 character, then they're going to definitely destroy that person that's on the inside with them if they don't have any help. He has no pinpoint pass. He has no bounce pass. Y'all can notice this is a theme. Characters who either have pinpoint pass or good shooting stats, if they have to choose between those two, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be inside the SS tier. Most of the point guards that are inside the SS tier have access to a pinpoint pass, and they also have access to good shooting stats. So moving on to the SS tier, we got Albert in the first slot. So he's a strong inside and perimeter scorer. He has one of the higher 3-point stats for the point guards. He has one of the higher close shot stats for the point guards, and he also has access to a smart layup. And that smart layup is a very strong tool for forcing help on the inside. A lot of the time you can draw up to 2 defenders, sometimes up to 3. It just depends on the defensive structure of the team you're facing and if they're coordinated on defense or not. His specific pass grants 15% extra accuracy on every single pass. Yes, you heard me properly, man. Every single pass that Albert ditches out gives his teammates 15% extra accuracy. Now, you compare this to a regular ability like pinpoint pass. A level 4 gives 20%, but you cannot do a pinpoint pass when you are close enough to your teammates to do a bounce pass. And if he does proc a bounce pass off the specific pass, those are going to stack for 20%, which is the exact same amount you get from a pinpoint pass. He's also a strong support for any type of scorer inside this game. He can pair with dunkers. He can pair with layup-based characters. He can pair with mid-range shooters. He can pair with 3-point shooters. He can pair with even centers that are based on rebounds. He can literally pair with any character in the entire game. And he has a high speed stat, one of the highest among the point guards. He has access to a pinpoint pass, and Albert's only, and I really do mean it, man, his only weakness is that he's way too short. Of course, point guards are going to be short, but he's just like way shorter than the average point guard. So moving on to Boa, she has the best defensive presence among point guards, and her dive and steal boosts her mobility. It also boosts her steal rate by 40%. So if you connect with your with the person you're guarding during a stealing dive, you have an increased 40% chance to get the steal. You don't have to build her for as much speed because her diving steal will more than make up for the speed that you're missing. And her fadeaway mid shot is strong against other point guards because other point guards are a lot shorter than someone like Boa. So if an Albert is guarding Boa, he's going to struggle to block the fadeaway mid shot. If Mo Chen is guarding Boa, he's going to struggle to block the fadeaway mid. If White is guarding her, there's a lot of short point guards inside this game that will definitely struggle to block that fadeaway mid shot. And if she's ace tier, she's going to have 5% disturbance resistance to go with the 7% that comes with the fadeaway mid shot for a total of 12%. And she has a pinpoint pass, and all of these factors combined is what makes Boa SS tier. So moving on to Mo Chen, his no ball sprint boosts his mobility significantly, and the person that's guarding him, more often than not, they have to pay attention to Mo Chen and Mo Chen only. So you think about characters like Nico, you got a Nico guarding you a lot of the time. Her eyes are going to be on the person with the ball because she's waiting for that pass animation so she can get the proactive intercept. And that's when Mo Chen just eats off of that alone. He's going to snap her ankles in half with the no ball sprint if she doesn't have her eyes on him. His teammates can't overthrow to him because of his ability, so he can catch the ball from any distance. His flash shot can help him get wide open shots before the defense can contest. It's not really a good idea to use this contested because even point guards can jump up late and get the block on his flash shot. He's a really good support for ISO scorers because of his pinpoint pass, and they can't overthrow to him. So if someone does help against the ISO scorer, he could be literally anywhere on the court. They could pass it to him, and you can punish behind the screen with Mo Chen. He also has one of the higher point guard speed stats. He has access to a pinpoint pass from a specific pass, and his only weakness is his really bad height. So we're moving on to Nico. She has a level 4 proactive intercept, which can more often than not remove the opposing point guard from the game. It can literally, if you're really good at getting those proactive intercepts, remove the opposing point guard from the game. You don't have to worry about them giving their teammates extra accuracy and all the stuff that comes with being a point guard because they cannot pass to them. She also has a really high steal stat, one of the best among the point guards, and her quick steal boosts her steal rate by an additional 40%, which is insane. And she has a good speed stat as well. Her only weakness is her bad shooting stats, but her defense does more than make up for that. So moving on to Yui, the last character inside the SS tier. She has the highest dive height in the game, and she can also pass during her dive animation. This could save you maybe somewhere between 1 and 2 seconds because other point guards have to wait until they stand back up before they pass the ball to their teammates. And her level 4 alley 3 gives an insane amount of accuracy, man. 38% extra accuracy on wide open shots off the alley 3. She has one of the highest speed stats for the point guards, and she also has really good shooting stats. She's a strong support for perimeter shooters and perimeter shooters only. So moving on to the ace, our ace point guard for this tier list is going to be Nana. People hear me complain about Nana a lot. A lot of people feel like there are other point guards inside this game that are better than her, but I'm just not seeing it if we're being honest. Our level 4 drift 3 forces help on the screens with that 15% extra accuracy. She's a very strong support for ISO inside scorers and shooters, so that counts for dunkers, layup-based characters, mid-shooters, three-point shooters, you name it. Nana can pair up with everyone inside this game. She has a really high three-point stat as well. I believe it's like the 2nd or 3rd highest among the point guards. She's the best on-ball point guard because of her pinpoint pass and drift 3 combination, and she fits into literally any team. She has a good height as well, and in my opinion, Nana has absolutely no weaknesses, especially when you compare it to the other point guards. So, all right, man, this is my point guard tier list. If you disagree, drop it inside the comments. But like I have always said before, make sure you're just being respectful about it. This is opinion based. This is my opinion based off of what these characters are capable of. So, all right, man, we're going to wrap this video up. Y'all want to see more of this? Go ahead and drop a like, sub to the channel, and I'll catch y'all on the next one, man.